guys doing? Good morning. All right. I hope you can all join me in also saying a big hello and good morning to everybody out there watching on Twitch, wherever they are in the world. So come on, guys, give them a hand. So my name is Jeff Kaplan. I'm the game director on Overwatch. We're really excited to bring Blizzard here to Boston, to PAX East, to talk about a lot of cool stuff. We're going to have Eric Dodds, the game director from Hearthstone, out here talking about some really great new stuff. And also Dustin Browder, the game director of Heroes of the Storm, is going to come out, talk about what's going on in the beta, and also make some pretty cool announcements. But we figured we'd start the morning with a little bit of an Overwatch discussion. So, just out of curiosity, was anybody here at BlizzCon? Awesome. You guys rock. So you guys went from the solar vortex to the polar vortex is what that one, I think it was 80 degrees in November at BlizzCon. At BlizzCon, we announced our upcoming title called Overwatch, and here's a screenshot from the game. Overwatch, for those of you guys who weren't paying attention to BlizzCon or weren't aware of it, is Blizzard's first foray into the first-person shooter genre, and it's something we are very, very excited about. There's a lot of passion at Blizzard around making a great shooter, and at BlizzCon, we talked about what makes Overwatch sort of different, or what makes it Blizzard. You know, what's Blizzard about this game? And really what it boils down to is a game that takes place in the near future, bright, vibrant colors, really relatable heroes. At its core, Overwatch is a game about heroes. A good friend of mine, Chris Metzen, likes to describe Blizzard as a hero factory. And what he means by that is every Blizzard game tries to make the player become a hero and bring out the hero, the inner hero of all of our players, and that's what Overwatch is trying to do. Mechanically, it's a PvP game at its core. I think that's something that you guys have seen a lot of from Blizzard, our love for competitive play, our love for esport, our love for just getting online and, you know, showing who's boss and playing games with friends. So it's a 6v6 team-based shooter with that focus on the heroes. And when you start to play the heroes, you'll see that they're really defined by these sort of epic, over-the-top, crazy abilities. We like to talk about it in terms of, you know, in other shooters where a gun is the most important thing that your character is carrying. In Overwatch, the abilities that the hero can do is the most important and most defining thing. So, you know, we've got our talking ape Winston, who leaps around in a primal rage. You've got Tracer, who can, you know, she could get from one side of this hall to the other in a blink of the eye and come back. She'd probably leave some devastating damage in her wake when she does that as well. So these heroes are really defined by their abilities. But we didn't just come here to recap BlizzCon. I think a lot of you guys are here to hear about new stuff today. And we want to bring you some new stuff. Right here, they want to hear new stuff. Awesome. So first of all, the first new thing we have to talk about is a new map, and it's called Watchpoint Gibraltar. So Overwatch so far, we've announced three maps in the game. There was Hanamura, which took place in an idyllic version of Japan. There was King's Row, which harkens to London, and we also had the Temple of Anubis, which is our Egyptian map. Well, Watchpoint Gibraltar is really cool to talk about because it brings something new to Overwatch that we haven't really done before, and it brings some of the Overwatch history into the game. So even though the game is a competitive 6v6 shooter, we want there to be a lot of story to this universe, and one of the things that we're having a lot of fun with is, you know, slowly revealing information about what's going on in this Overwatch universe and really building it out to be the type of Blizzard universe that can someday stand side by side with the likes of Starcraft, Warcraft, and Diablo. So Watchpoint Gibraltar, at the heyday of Overwatch was sort of this universal peacekeeping group. Think of something like the United Nations if it had a really crazy army with talking apes in it. Real world stuff there. But Overwatch was shut down at one point. There are heroes from Overwatch who feels like the group needs to be back together and are basically trying to put the band back together. So, Blues Brothers was always one of my favorite movies. So we took a little cue from them on that one. But Watchpoint Gibraltar is located obviously in a very strategic location in the world, the Rock of Gibraltar. And it was this Overwatch outpost guarding the Mediterranean where they could deploy and react to different issues happening throughout the world. You can have sort of a look at some other parts of the map. But these days, the base is shut down. There's been activity happening in the base, though. And the players will learn, or you guys will learn today as you go and play the map downstairs, that Winston, our good friend, is trying to put Overwatch back together. And the first step to doing that is getting the Overwatch communications network back online. So he's constructed a satellite drone. He needs to get the drone to this rocket. And who better to do that than you and 5 of your badass buddies downstairs in the Overwatch booth today and get that drone to this rocket so we can get the communications network back online. So we talk a lot about, and at BlizzCon this came up frequently, how are you guys going to tell story in this game? So we have big plans. There are a lot of things we want to do, like our announcement trailer. We're really proud of our Blizzard Cinematics group, and we think they do an amazing job with storytelling. So there is more to come in that direction. But we also want to do things in the game to reveal some of the background and give context to the player's actions. So, for example, the attacker's spawn on our Watchpoint Gibraltar map is Winston's laboratory. And we hope when you're in there, you'll take some time and look at the computer screens and look at Winston's whiteboards. Small tip, in the future, they're back to being blackboards. So it's gone way in the future at this point. But the futuristic blackboard that was once a whiteboard, we hope you look at that and you get a little bit of context and background. So for the people downstairs playing right now, we put together a training video. We know they don't have a tutorial experience to go through, and they're going to wait in the line and get right up to the machines with no sort of training. So we put something together so they'll know what they have waiting for them, and we wanted to share it with you guys as well so you can get an idea of what Watchpoint Gibraltar is all about and how it plays. So let's take a look at that right now.
Arriving at Watchpoint Gibraltar.
Payload ready to roll.
So it's a really fun map. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it. As you can see, it's a complete payload map. At BlizzCon, we featured 2 different types of maps. We had capture point maps, and we had a hybrid capture point and partial payload. This one's a full payload and adds a lot of new gameplay, I think, to Overwatch. There's also some really fun level design elements, like a really cool choke down the bottom of a hill that the development team has dubbed the car wash. So it's fun to try to get the payload through that, especially when Symmetra puts her little turrets up above. But like I was saying at the beginning of the presentation today, Overwatch is a game about heroes first and foremost. And if there's one thing to take away about Overwatch, it's that there's a hero out there for everyone, and they all speak to different fantasies. So we're very excited today to announce not 1, but 2 new heroes. The first of which is one of my favorite to play, a gentleman by the name of the Outlaw Jesse McCree. McCree is the ultimate futuristic gunslinger. He is primarily defined by his ability to be a Deadeye with his Peacekeeper revolver. It's got a really fun primary fire. If you're a talented shooter player, you can snipe people all the way across the map with it. It's amazing at short and mid-range as well. It's got a really fun alternate fire to it as well. When you do your alternate fire, you fan the hammer and you unleash all the shots that are left in the revolver. So that's a lot of fun, especially when somebody gets up on you, point blank. You just hit that right click and watch him go crazy. He's got some other abilities that are really fun too. He's got flashbang that combos amazingly with his other abilities that briefly stuns enemies for about a second. And he can do a combat roll, which is really a great way for him to have mobility either in or out of a bad situation. And we added some nuance there for really highly skilled players to get some fun combos off. When he does that combo roll, he also reloads the Peacekeeper. So, you can think of some of the things you can do with that. You can, alternate fire, unload the full revolver, combat roll, and then you're back again with 6 shots point blank on somebody. So that's a lot of fun. And then he has his ultimate ability, and in a lot of ways Overwatch is becoming defined by these characters' ultimate abilities. His is called Deadeye, and when I tell you about it, and then I'm going to show you it in the video also, it's going to seem just like the most crazy, wildly overpowered thing ever. And it probably is, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. So what Deadeye does, it's not in beta yet, right? So we can do that. So what he does when he uses his Deadeye ability, he actually holsters the Peacekeeper, and you're going to see this. He kind of starts moving real slowly, and he takes account of everybody who's in front of him. And what's going on in the game is your UI is drawing little targeting reticles around all enemies within line of sight. If any of those get small enough and little skulls appear, that means it's a fatal shot. And then McCree fires once again, draws his gun, and will take everybody out who's under it. So, yeah. So, again, we put together these training videos so as people are waiting in line to play the game, they get a little bit of sense of how the character will play. But I want to share it with you today so you guys can see some of the abilities in action. So let's take a look at the Outlaw McCree.
Justice ain't gonna dispense itself. It's high noon. Like shooting fish in a barrel. Hold up. It's high noon. Someone call the Undertaker.
So McCree is a lot of fun, and I think one of the things that really brings him to life is that fantasy fulfillment. And our goal with Overwatch Heroes is that there's some level of fantasy fulfillment for as many players as possible, and to really deliver on that promise of a very diverse, heroic experience. So with that, I'm very, very excited to announce our first female tank in Overwatch, Alexandra Zaryanova. She is a dedicated and loyal hero. So her goal in life was to become a championship weightlifter, and she was right on the cusp of fulfilling that fantasy that she was going to have in her life. And she was extremely competitive, and it was just before the World Championships that strife broke out near her village, and she put it all aside to defend the homeland. And she picked up this amazing weapon that you guys will see in a little bit called the particle cannon, and basically put her personal goals aside for that of protecting humanity. And that's one of the things that we think really defines Zarya, which is her nickname. There's other things that we think really defines who she is. She's lawful good. She's a hero. She's who you want to be when you grow up. But there's some other stuff to talk about too. We've been hearing a lot of discussion amongst players about the need for more diversity in video games, and that means a lot of things. They want to see gender diversity. They want to see racial diversity. They want to see diversity along lines of what country people are from. But there's also talk about diversity in different body types, and that not everybody wants to have the exact same body type always represented. And we just want you to know that we're listening and we're trying hard, and we hope Zarya is a step in the right direction to show you that we're paying attention. So let's take a look at what she does. Let's talk about it a little bit first. Like I said, the particle cannon is how she is defined. The weapon is amazing. Its primary fire is a beam attack. It shoots out about 15 meters in front of her, does pretty devastating damage at close range. And because she's a tank, that's what gets her in there. Mostly the weapon is short to medium range. It also has an alternate fire for those times when she needs it that does an area of effect particle explosion that she can lob out there, sort of like a grenade almost. And then she has other abilities because she's a tank and because she's about protecting her allies. She has the ability to use the particle cannon to either put a particle barrier on herself or on one of her allies. And what this thing is basically like a shield that will absorb all the damage coming into it. It actually blocks line of sight, so if she's standing in front of somebody and has this on her, if she puts it on somebody next to her, it'll block line of sight and allow them to block for their teammates. There's a cool resource mechanic in here as well. As the particle barrier, whether on her or one of her teammates, takes damage, the power on the center of her reticle goes up, and it can go up to 100. The higher that number is, the more charged the particle cannon is, and the more damage it will do. Last but not least is her ultimate ability, which we call the Graviton Surge. This is an element that she shoots from the cannon. She can shoot it out into a group of enemies, stick it to the wall, stick it to a ceiling, and it is a gravity well. It will suck in all enemies within a certain radius to the center point of that Graviton Surge. It combos extremely well with some other abilities. Think of a Pharah rocket barrage shooting into that, or Tracer dropping her time bomb, or McCree getting off a Deadeye at that moment. You guys, I'm sure, will come up with even more interesting combinations than we can dream of. So let's take a look at Zarya in action.
Together we are strong. Огонь по готовности. Gravity kills.
All right, so just to recap real quickly on Overwatch, we talked about our new map, Watchpoint Gibraltar. We introduced the outlaw, Jesse McCree, who hates to be called Joel, by the way. And then also introduce you to Alexandra Zaryanova, our newest tank in Overwatch. All of it's available for you guys to play on the show floor. We can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. Beta is coming this fall. And we want you to go to playoverwatch.com and sign up. We're super excited to have you guys sign up for the beta, and we can't wait to see you all in there playing. Now moving on, I'd like to introduce one of my favorite people, the game directors from Heroes of the Storm and the hero of my storm, Dustin Browder.
I can shout. Are we good? All right, good morning, PAX East. Yeah. All right, so one of the reasons we love doing this show is it really gives us a chance to connect with players in a lot of ways. This is a community-made show. It's one of my favorite shows to go to all year long. The combination of video games, board games, role-playing games, miniature games. Woo! It's awesome. Enjoy the show. This is one of the best shows in the world you guys are at here today. So I'm going to talk to you here today about a bunch of things going on in Heroes. Again, more sort of community player focused than anything else. I'll give you guys some beta stats, an update on our battlegrounds, a look at our next new hero, some game systems, and some changes to our progression system. So those of you who are playing in the beta now will obviously appreciate some of these changes a little more, but hopefully more and more of you will be joining our beta very soon. All right. Beta stats. Let's talk about some OP heroes. These are the heroes that you want to be playing tonight. Now, let's be clear. These guys are like 3%, 1% up on everybody else. If you're not that good at the game, like me, chances are you need to do a couple of things. Don't face check the bushes by yourself. Show up to the team fight on time, and make sure you're paying attention when you come back to life so you get right back into the action. But if you want a 1% bonus, you could be playing the Lost Vikings. They're pretty good right now. They're up by a couple percentage points. This is a new hero we've added. It's controlling 3 heroes at the same time. It's one of the most challenging heroes to play, but they're doing pretty well right now, probably because nobody knows what to do about them. Brightwing has been really good for a long time. This is a hero that can teleport to any ally on the map. She has an area effect heal that's always pulsing around her. She's been pretty good for a while now. Again, 2% up if you play Brightwing. Nazebo, our witch doctor, been a strong choice for a while. Absolutely. Make sure you stun him. If you fight against Nazebo, one of you is on Nazebo duty. Make sure you have somebody with a stun ready the minute he decides to use his spirit. Otherwise, you're all dead. All right. Uther, very powerful support hero. One thing we love about Heroes of the Storm is our support heroes can be very mighty in this game. With team leveling, with no gold, you don't need to earn. You can be a pure support hero and absolutely be a very, very effective member of your team. And to back that up, Rhaegar, our pure support hero, well, not pure, but pretty supporty, very powerful hero in this game. Uther, of course, has tons of stuns, which is one of the reasons he's so powerful. But Rhaegar, very strong healer, very good addition to your team. All right, our lowest tier hero right now is sadly Chen. Sorry, Chen. We had one little nerf. Anyway, we'll get Chen back on top any minute now. And if you want to show what a great player you are, Diablo, Zagara, these guys are almost perfect 50-50 right now across the board. All right, that was for everybody. That was for all y'all, right? If you're looking at the top players in Hero League, these are the most competitive players we have right now. Their best heroes look a little bit different. So the best hero right now, one of the best heroes is Illidan, again, like maybe 3% up. Very skill-based hero, kills me all the time, that's for sure. He usually says mean things to me in chat too now, actually. Rhaegar, also a strong hero here. Sergeant Hammer, this is a siege hero. It's a siege tank. She can deploy and set up like a siege tank can in Starcraft II. So it's very important where you position her. If you position her incorrectly, you don't get much. You position her in the right spot, she's absolutely awesome. So it doesn't surprise me to see her here at top tier. Lost Vikings debuting here as well. This is one where so different, so strange, so unusual for us to make, and so difficult to play in some cases. We know we're going to see the top players showing us what's broken about this here, which is what we love, being in beta to detect this stuff. And Tyrande, surprisingly, is also a top tier hero as well. Our lowest tier hero is Murky. Sorry, Murky. We'll get you back up there any minute now, I promise. And even tiered are Zeratul and Vala. All right, let's talk about Battlegrounds. We're going to be unveiling a new battleground here today. You guys have seen hints of this. Tomb of the Spider Queen at BlizzCon this last year. Absolutely, Tomb of the Spider Queen. One of the things we love about Tomb of the Spider Queen is it's starting to fulfill our promise of what Battlegrounds can accomplish for us in Heroes of the Storm. So Tomb of the Spider Queen is an underground location, very different from our other environments. But what's important about Tomb of the Spider Queen, what makes it play so differently, is it's incredibly small. We call this sort of a knife fight in a closet kind of map. It's very contained. The lanes are very close together. And what you're trying to do in this map is you're collecting gems from these spiders that are moving down the lanes. And when you collect gems, you can drop them off at a couple of central points. And if you get enough gems, you're going to summon some spider queens that are going to push both lanes. Look, you see the top left of that screen there? You can see a lane, then there's a lane here in the middle. These lanes are very close together. And you're almost always in lane on this map, always trying to collect gems, always trying to grab those spider queens to help push lanes and destroy your opponents. This is ultimately a very, very different experience from the battleground we just released, Sky Temple, which is a huge map. This is a map where you're always out of lane. You're always trying to grab temples so you can blast enemies with rays of sun from the tops of these temples. So we're releasing these maps back to back, and they play completely differently from one another, and the types of heroes that are effective on either one of these maps are very different as well. And this is what we're going for Battlegrounds. When you get onto a battleground and you're playing seriously competitively, you think about the heroes differently, you think about your talents differently, you think about your team compositions differently as well. All right, let's talk about our next hero. We debuted her or teased her last year at BlizzCon, the next hero for Heroes of the Storm.
I was once a far strider. I swore an oath to defend Silvermoon and its people to my dying breath. It was not enough. My homeland still burned. But those days are long past. And history will not repeat itself. I am Sylvanas Windrunner, Queen of the Forsaken. And if you will not serve me in this life, then you will do so in the next.
All right, that is Sylvanas. Now, Sylvanas is classified as a specialist for us. We debated many times whether to call her an assassin or a specialist. She sort of walks the line between both. She has a lot of abilities she can use against enemy minions, against enemy mercenaries, against enemy towns. It makes her a deadly, deadly pushing hero. At the same time, she can do some really ferocious burst damage as well. One of her core abilities is this ability to fire while on the move with Withering Fire. She can even fire behind herself there. It makes her a ferocious amount of burst damage. Now, she has charges for this. She just sort of bang the button and all these bullets come flying out of her, hitting the nearest enemy. All these arrows fly out. And you charge those by killing enemy minions. You want to collect the souls of the fallen to power that ability. You also have an ability called Shadow Dagger. Now, this is just a damage over time, but it also spreads from minion to nearby enemies. So you can use this to clear whole lanes of minions. Very effective damage over time. Gives her some that sneaky evil kind of feeling from her. She's also got an ability called Haunted Waves, which she can teleport to. Now, it does a little bit of a slow, but she can also pop to it. Now, you're going to stay where you were when you started it. So you got to make sure you've got time to get where you want to go, that your health hasn't run out. But you can use it to escape from enemy attackers. You can also use it, like I use it foolishly, to close. Oh, I'm going to catch that guy. I'm going to kill him. And you close, and suddenly 3 of his friends show up, and you die. So I would say save it. Save it for when you're in trouble. But if you really think you can burst somebody down, you can use it to charge forward. Now, like every hero in Heroes of the Storm, she's got 2 core heroic abilities that you can choose from at level 10. The first is Wailing Arrow, which you can activate when it gets to whatever distance you want. It does a little bit of damage and a silence, which is really important for Nazebo. So Nazebo, your nerfs are coming. It's Sylvanas. And she's going to be able to shut players down with this very powerful initiating ability for this character. She's also got the power to possess mercenaries and minions. This makes you think of mercenaries in a whole different way in this game. You may have also noted there's sometimes some dark things going on that map when she hits stuff. She can shut down minions, mercenaries, and towers by attacking them just with a basic attack. It's her dark arrow, and she can use it to shut down towers. So very powerful ability, very great at pushing. If you leave Sylvanas alone in one of your lanes, that lane's going to be gone before you know it. All right. Whoops. I'll just do them next with interpretive dance. It will be amazing. It's okay. It's all good. Nobody panic. I'm not panicking right now. Everything's fine. What do you got? All right, we have people to save me. Save me, people. Oh, the machine rebooted. That's not a good sign. Oh. That's the only move I've got. I can't do that all day. Oh, all right, I could do that. So one of the things that we've been working on StarCraft for the last many months is obviously the campaign. And these guys have done an absolutely amazing job of putting together what I think is one of the best campaigns we've ever done on StarCraft for Legacy of the Void. What's so incredible about this campaign is they've really captured that feeling of, we like to talk about it, that feeling of the Seven Samurai, where there's just a handful of warriors who are probably not going to be well remembered, and they're not going to be famous, and nobody's going to sing great songs about the deeds that they have done, but they are absolutely going to lay down their lives for everyone else. And it really gets that tragic feeling of war and this really sort of awesome feeling of these noble, honorable warriors in the form of the Protoss. And I got to say that it's got a very strong sort of dark tone to it, and it feels really appropriate for this final chapter of the StarCraft II trilogy to bring it home for the Protoss and show this dying race as they take on a whole new level of problems. I think you saw some of this as we progressed from Wings of Liberty through Heart of the Swarm. James Rayner is worried about, he's worried about his would-be girlfriend, Sarah Kerrigan, and he's worried about Mengsk and this evil ruler who's taken over the Dominion and he's created this dark government. These are pretty serious problems, but they're nothing in comparison to the problems that Kerrigan's dealing with. Kerrigan has got an entire race who is basically a slave race to whoever controls them, and she's constantly trying to evolve and build and save these monsters and not make them something completely horrible, and yet, they are what they are. At the same time, now we go to the Protoss, things get more serious still. We're going to get to this place where the Protoss are trying to solve sort of the problems of the galaxy. We've hinted at some of this stuff, with Amon and with the dark, forces that are gathering around this whole trilogy. So it begins with Raynor, right, in this very sort of mundane space, ends up in this sort of battle with the gods when it comes to Protoss. And so it's been very, very cool. I think the team has done an amazing job in putting together a great, great StarCraft product. All right, they're still struggling. I see the computer rebooting one more time. Let's, yeah, right. Okay. All right, this is truly an act of desperation here. I have a PDF. Thank you, Siobhan. Okay. All right, can you all see this? All right, we're good to go. Everybody just lean forward. I'll step out to the edge of the stage. Everybody just lean forward a little bit, and we got this, all right? Thank you, Siobhan. This is amazing. All right, so we've been working a lot on our game systems. Fortunately, actually, the visuals aren't hugely essential going forward. What matters is we're redoing our whole UI. I know those who've been in the beta said, really, the UI again? But we are making it much better. There's a bunch of stuff these guys have done, the team has put together to make portraits more prominent. We just added Hero League into the game. All of our end-of-game score screen stuff didn't really work with what we had, so we're going to put that together. We finally got a score screen after the game finishes. I know, right? Huge. So it's not the greatest score screen ever, but hey, it's a step in the right direction. It was one of the things we said we desperately needed before we went to an open beta, so progress is being made. We also have Team League going into this next patch. So those of you who weren't at BlizzCon, we've added Hero League, which allows you to sort of play with whoever you want, play in sort of a draft mode. It's a semi-competitive mode. You can certainly compete in this environment, but Team League is meant to be the ultimate competitive space for Heroes of the Storm. This is a chance for you to get together with 4 of your buddies. Actually, you can have a team of up to 9 people. Now, you only play with 5 at once, but you can have 9 guys in the roster in case guys don't get on a particular night or whatever. So you got 5 and 4 alternates. And this will be the ultimate way to play. You can be up to a member of 3 teams at once, and each of these teams will have its own separate ranking. So you can have the team you play, with your buddies who aren't so good, and you can have the team you play only with the players you want to see, go to MLG with you or whatever you want. We're also working very hard on what we can do for sort of play nice, play fair. We get a bunch of feedback from players that their biggest concerns about games in this genre is how you might be treated in chat while you're playing the game. People might have some comments for you about your play style. Are we up? Oh my goodness. Well, this is good because there are videos, and those are going to be much harder. All right, so we are going to add ability to mute all allies in a future patch here very soon. This will be if you're having a rough night and you're tired of hearing it, you can mute all your allies. Now, the ping system in our game does work very well, and because of our objective-based gameplay, because it's often pretty obvious where you need to be next, go to the tribute, for example, you don't need to hear the allies nearly as much as we certainly would have thought. We have tested this, and it's surprisingly effective at a wide variety of skill levels of play. In a future patch, we also want to add the ability to add clans to the game, and this is very vital for us. We think that in many cases, your ability to self-organize into the type of social group you want to be a part of is absolutely vital to having a great gameplay experience. Maybe you want to be in a group where you are telling people how to choose their talents and how to play because you guys are a serious clan. Maybe you want to be in a more casual space. You're like, dude, I just want to play. I don't care if we win. I don't care what you think of my talent build. Then you can play in a clan that has that social contract. Right now, we're just throwing you into a big pit with everybody. Everybody has a different expectation, and our belief is if we can give you the opportunity to self-organize, this will be to your benefit. We've also heard a lot of feedback for players asking for rating systems. We don't have a specific idea here yet, but we're definitely open to your feedback and ideas of what would be the best rating system for Heroes of the Storm. All right, progression. I got to move quick now because I want to get Eric up here to talk about Hearthstone. We're going to do a lot of stuff in progression here in the next few patches. This is based on a lot of feedback we've had from the community. They want more gold, more opportunities to get stuff in this game. We're going to add a 7-day stim pack at account level 10. Hero levels will now go from 11 to 20. Those of you who are playing know that when you get to level 10, you get your master skin. You should stop playing that hero, and that feels terrible. So we're going to take you now from 11 to 20. These levels are going to be a bit of a grind, but it really lets you show off your skill or certainly your engagement with the hero. We have this concept, for those who don't know, called talent gating, where we don't have access to all of the talents. This will be a rolling applause to do this one. We're going to turn that off at level 30. This does give us some benefits with new users, so we do want to keep it in the game for a little bit. We figure by the time you get to level 30, you get it, you're ready to go, so talent gating will shut off. All right, more gold, lots more. Here it comes. There's some more, there's some more, there's some more. All right, some more gold. All right, so I get a lot of questions in Heroes about esports. What are we doing for esports? And we say, hey, we're going to let the community take the lead here, and that's still by and largely true. But the esports team has been working very hard on something that's coming very soon. Here's the dorm. And here's a little video explaining what this is.
Introducing a collegiate gaming event where teams from around North America compete for their education. Heroes of the Dorm. The 5 individuals that can prove themselves the best team in North America, playing Blizzard's new competitive game, Heroes of the Storm, will win tuition for their college career. That's right. Form a team, play Heroes, claim your future. Stay tuned for more information about the live finals being held in California later this year, and sign up now at heroesofthedorm.com to receive beta access and an exclusive in-game portrait. There is more than $450,000 available in prizes for players and participants, so check out our website to find out how you can get involved.
All right. So here's thedorm.com. You can go ahead and get signed up on that. We are also proud to announce that we're partnering with ESPN to televise this, not only on online channels, but on television as well. So very excited to bring you this amazing esports event. To see you all guys in the Nexus, I'd like to bring up the best presentation of the day, the game director on Hearthstone, Eric Dodds.
Assuming it's mine. Hello, hello. Awesome. So Hearthstone is sort of the scrappy team, so we're going to see if I can do a 20-minute presentation in about 8 minutes. Here we go. So PAX East and PAX is awesome. Love this show. It's amazing. I've been coming here for years. Yeah, and stuff. We announced in PAX East 2013, and it was awesome there too when we announced PAX East, or we announced Naxxramas in 2014 here at PAX East. So PAX East has just been an amazing show for Hearthstone. There's a thing called Fireside Gatherings. You can go to www.firesidegatherings.com. It's an amazing program, and if you go there, it's find one near you or set up one near you. It's just super kick-ass, and I recommend it. And here's some awesome pictures from some Fireside Gatherings. Okay, enough of that. Okay, so it was just a year ago that we announced, which it still sort of blows my mind. Thank you. It was just a year ago that we launched. I knew I was going to mess that up. And we've done a lot of awesome stuff. We had the World Championship. We have a new World Championship coming if you want to participate. There's even more tournaments going on this year than there have been, or than there was last year, which is kind of crazy because there was a lot going on last year. Pretty much every weekend you can go and find one and watch it. We're just speeding to the good stuff. Goblins versus Gnome was awesome. Yay. We released on Android and iPad also this year for tablet, which is awesome. Okay. So really the question you're going to have, though, at this point is, yeah, tablets are awesome, but what about phone? Because you guys, we've been talking about phone, and we're We've run into some challenges on phone, nothing we can't overcome, but certainly when I first started looking at phone, I was a little bit concerned that we were going to be able to make, a AAA version of Hearthstone on phone, make it an amazing game and just as cool as it is on tablets. I'm happy to say after a bunch of work on the UI, we have been able to do that. We're actually in alpha right now, so within Blizzard, we're all playing it, and the feedback we've generally gotten is people saying, I didn't know if it was going to be awesome on phone, but I'm actually now playing it even more than I thought I would. I'm going to show you some pictures of what the UI looks like on phone. So we actually really managed to get the feel of the UI on phone and still make it entirely usable. So we have Collection Manager, which was definitely a challenge. There was definitely some work here, but we feel like it's very usable. And we have play mode, which there's the cards, and they become larger or smaller depending on the state of the board, but it's very easy to play in this mode. I've been playing a ton in this mode. And one thing to mention here is that if you're playing on phone, your account is the same as if you were playing on tablet, as if you were playing on PC. You're playing against the same people who, you could be playing on phone. Somebody else is playing on tablet or PC, it's all mixed together. It's all one group playing together. That's pack opening, but really the most important thing to talk about here is that within the next couple of months, it's going to be out on phone and on Android. So we're very, very close. So iOS and Android phone coming very, very soon. So I want to talk a little bit now about Curse of Naxxramas because it was our very first adventure. And it did a lot of things that we really, really liked and wanted in an adventure. I mean, it made it so that you could play in single player against a bunch of the different cool bosses from this environment week after week. So one week it would open, you could play a bunch of bosses, you could play a bunch of class challenges, you could play a bunch of heroic mode bosses if you wanted, and you would earn cards that would sort of change the metagame week to week through doing battle with the bosses in Naxxramas. And we really loved how that worked out, and we really loved actually exploring the space that Naxxramas was. It was a well-loved space in Warcraft, and we got to explore it further. And we were thinking, if we're going to do another adventure, what could this adventure be? Because it would have to be a place that, had epic and awesome bosses. It would have to be a place that has tons and tons of Warcraft lore that people could explore and see in a different way, sort of see how Hearthstone explored that lore. It'd have to be a little bit mysterious, sort of a place that had a bunch of mystery about it. And I think we have found the perfect place to do that, and I just thought I'd show you right now.
Have ye heard the rumblings? The mountain stirs once more. Beneath its crags, cliffs, and rocks, there's evil in its core. Fire made flesh, dragon's breath, teeth and claws and flame, calling any heroes out there that are brave or just insane. Blackrock Mountain, a Hearthstone adventure.
So, as some of you had no doubt guessed, Blackrock Mountain is going to be our very next adventure. And it's going to be mechanically a lot like Naxxramas in that each week there's going to be a new wing that's going to come out, and it's going to have new bosses to fight, and new class challenges to do battle with, and then if that wasn't enough, new heroic bosses. And when you beat the normal bosses and the class challenges, there's going to be cards that you earn that are going to affect the metagame. So week over week, there will be new bosses, new class challenges, new cards, new metagame. The thing that's a little bit different about Blackrock Mountain is it's got sort of a different vibe. I mean, Naxxramas has a very specific vibe. Blackrock Mountain is all about sort of two epic forces, villains that are inhabiting this place. On one hand, I want to talk sort of a little bit about the beginning, where we had this mountain. We have these dark iron dwarves who are living in this mountain, and they want to increase their power. So they think, we got a great idea. We're going to summon this Fire Lord Ragnaros, and he's going to work for us. That'll be awesome. And that didn't work out entirely as they planned, in that he showed up, enslaved them, and brought a bunch of his fire buddies to hang out in the mountain and sort of tell them what to do. So the Dark Iron Dwarves are still there, but it's really Ragnaros running the show in the molten core of the mountain. And he has the same goal that, a lot of epic villains do, and that's, of course, to take over the world. There's only one thing sort of standing in his way. There's another force in the mountain. There's the great dragon, Nefarian. And Nefarian sort of rules the top, the upper spire of Blackrock Mountain, and he has his Blackrock Orc buddies and tons of twisted creations that he and his alchemist has made to aid him. And he also has the goal, of course, to take over the world. The thing being said about those two forces is the one thing they hate more than the rest of the world is each other. And so they spend most of their time fighting each other. So what you're going to do is get involved in this struggle and start out by helping Nefarian, going down to have a little chat with Ragnaros to see if you can convince him to, well, probably die, actually. So in the mountain, you're going to see, fire elementals and all the fiery buddies of Ragnaros. You're going to see tons and tons of dragons. You're going to see all of the bosses. Well, I shouldn't say that. You will see a number of the bosses that you have seen from various dungeons and raids if you've played World of Warcraft. So tons and tons of these characters will be all throughout the mountain and all throughout Blackrock Mountain Adventure. We are going to have 5 wings. There's going to be 17 bosses that you will do battle with. The first wing is Blackrock Depths. That's the Dark Iron Dwarves there on the left. They are going to be the first line of defense for Ragnaros, trying to stop you from getting to him. And so you're going to do battle with these Dark Iron Dwarves on your way to the second wing, which is, of course, the Molten Core, which is where Ragnaros lives. So the question is, what does one of these wings look like? Well, week 1, when Blackrock Mountain releases, is going to look like this. These are going to be the 3 bosses that you will do battle with. That being said, when you think about bosses in Blackrock Mountain, sometimes it's the mountain itself that is the villain. So in this case, the first boss, while it's technically Corin Direbrew, it's actually the Grim Guzzler is the boss. It's the bar where the Dark Iron Dwarves hang out and drink. So there's always a bar fight going on down there. There's always guys from all over leaping into the fight, and sort of his hero power is about that when you do battle with him, where guys from both your deck and Corin Direbrew's deck are going to be constantly leaping into the fight just on their own. And you're going to have to build a deck around that to sort of defeat that mode of play, or that way of facing an enemy. You'll then move into the Dark Iron Arena, where you'll battle tons of legendary minions from all over Azeroth if you want to fight your way through it. And then finally to the Dark Iron Emperor, who is the last boss on the end of the first wing on your way to Ragnaros. And of course, when you defeat each of these, you'll get a card. When you defeat all of them, there's a legendary card at the end of the wing, and then there's more cards for the class challenges. This is what the new board looks like. And I'm actually always kind of blown away whenever our artists give us, a new board, because each time I look at one of the boards and I look at the clickables that they put in the board, I sort of think that the new board is my favorite board, and this is no exception. You're going to be able to upgrade weapons as clickables on this board. You can summon dragons, you can play with runes, you can mess around with the lava. There's a lot of fun stuff to do with this board. So yeah, just playing with this board makes me happy. It is pretty awesome. So you're probably saying at this point, all of this is cool, I'm excited about this, but tell me about some of the cards that are going to affect the metagame in new ways, because that's really the heart of the Blackrock Mountain adventure. And so, of course, you're going to see several cards that are related to the Dark Iron Dwarves. Dark Iron Dwarves are sort of core to the Blackrock Depths experience, and you're definitely going to get to play with some of those cards. The first is the Dark Iron Skulker. This card is based around the idea, it's a rogue card, and it's based around the idea that the backstab ability rogues have is awesome, and wouldn't it be more awesome if rogues got to backstab, everybody? It's, from the metagame point of view, it's pretty interesting because it gives you the ability to drop a card and deal with a rush that's going on if there's a lot of low-cost stuff coming at you, and also leave a minion on the table to carry on the fight. So it's going to be interesting to see how this affects the rogue metagame. We have another Dark Iron Dwarf, the Grim Patron. So whenever he takes damage, another of his buddies jumps in. He's sort of like embodiment of the Grim Guzzler bar. So you can imagine playing this guy on the table, pinging him for one, okay, there's 2 of them on the table. Playing Whirlwind, okay, there's 4 of them on the table. And very quickly you can overrun your enemy with just this guy. So he is pretty amazing for that as well. The heart of this adventure, though, is all about dragons. So we love the idea of dragons in Hearthstone, and we love the idea that, hey, I put, a Nixie, or I put a Sarah, or I put Albatross in my deck, but you can't really build a full deck around that idea. And we wanted you to be able to not just put that card into your deck and have it, be a finisher for whatever the theme of the rest of your deck is. We wanted you to be able to put that card in your deck and have it be all about dragons. So we have a bunch of cards that really support the dragon theme. We have the Blackwing Technician. And so when she comes into play, if you're holding a dragon, if you have a dragon in your hand, she gets +1/+1. So it becomes a 3/5 for 3, which is a pretty strong minion. She's also pretty interesting because when she comes into play, if she gets +1/+1, you're actually communicating to your opponent, hey, I have a dragon in my hand, and based on the metagame, your opponent may be able to figure out what dragon it is in your hand and play around that, or maybe you have a dragon they didn't expect and they play around something you don't have. So there's a lot of communication that goes on here as well, but I definitely expect her to be one of the key pieces of a dragon deck. Of course, we'd have to have a dragon, or actually we have multiple dragons, but this is just one of them, for Blackrock Mountain. And so when it comes into play, it summons a random one-cost minion for your opponent. So you think you can deal with it, but you're just not quite sure. But it makes for a lot of interesting things, and a 5/6 for 4 is very, very strong. It wouldn't be a adventure around Blackrock Mountain unless we had this guy, Rend Blackhand, the chief of the Blackrock Orcs. And, he's so badass that he rides a dragon. So what he does is, if you're holding a dragon, when he comes into play, he destroys a legendary minion. So what that means is your opponent drops a legendary, they think they've got their end-game state met, you drop this guy, he takes out their legendary, and suddenly you have a big guy on the table, and you turn things around, and suddenly it's a whole different game. He's pretty awesome for that. Of course, we have a bunch more cards that will be coming as well. There will be more dragons, more fire cards, more class cards, more of all of that good stuff. So tons more cards coming, or actually, I guess, 31 total cards coming. And lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about the card backs that are coming. So that season card back is the card back you get for getting to level 20 or to rank 20 or better in this season that's going on right now. It's pretty easy to do, and it's an awesome card back. The heroic card back is the card back you get if you defeat all of the bosses throughout all 5 wings of Blackrock Mountain on heroic. That's the card back you can show off that you're pretty much a badass. And the last one is actually a card back for pre-ordering Blackrock Mountain. So if you, on the 19th or 20th, depending on your region, it's going to be available for pre-order. When you do that, when Blackrock Mountain comes out, you will get all of the you will get, the wings as they come out, 1 wing at a time, but you get that card back immediately. And of course, March 19th or 20th wouldn't make a lot of sense for Blackrock Mountain unless you knew that it was also coming out next month. So next month, you're going to be playing Blackrock Mountain, and we're looking forward to all of the crazy decks you guys make with them and all of your feedback about all of it. So that's it, and thank you very much for coming to the Blizzard panel.